The next witness for the people is?
People called Jeff Strohm.
Sir, please stand in the witness box. I'm sorry, just one moment. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
My name's Jeff Strohm, Jeffstrohm, as in Mary.
Mr. Strohm, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me provide you with instructions which I provide every witness in every case. The first instruction is to please sit back and relax. The second instruction is to answer questions loudly. The third question is to answer questions yes or no when you're called upon, rather than using slang such as which can be confusing. And the last instruction is to wait until you hear an entire question before you even start to answer it. And that way we want to have people speaking over each other at the same time. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Brazil, direct exam.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Strohm.
Good morning.
Please tell us where you are employed.
I work for Sprint Nextel Telecommunications.
What type of services does Sprint Nextel Communications provide?
We are in the cell phone industry and other wireless services.
What is your position there?
I'm a custodian of records.
Describe your duties as custodian of records, please.
As a custodian of records, I'm responsible for testifying for all the records that are produced in Sprint's legal compliance department. When I'm not on the road testifying, I'm responsible for responding to legal demands, providing various types of phone records.
Your Honor, I have a 36-page document. I'd ask that it be marked as People's 53, please.
It is.
Mr. Strohm, prior to coming to court today, did you have an opportunity to review phone records related to a Sprint Nextel phone number ending in the number 3747?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to ask you some questions about the phone records, and to assist me, I'm going to put a page on the projector.
Okay.
And ask you questions about the way that the information is recorded by Sprint Nextel. Do you recognize the three columns? Mrs. Benson, would you hit the lights, please? Thank you. Do you recognize the three columns that I have placed on the projector to be page 123 of the cell phone records for Sprint cell phone subscriber ending in number 3747?
Yes, I recognize this page.
Would you be able to describe for the jurors what the columns represent in terms of information contained therein, going from left to right of the document?
Sure. Oh, do you have a laser pointer?
Please.
Okay. Starting from the left-hand side, we have the calling number. If I'm calling somebody, I'm making an outbound phone call, or I'm initiating the phone call. Second column, we have the called number. If I'm being called, I'm receiving the phone call. Third column, the dial digits. Those are the numbers actually input into one's handset. Next column, M_R_pound sign. What that is an acronym for mobile roll number. The entries you see underneath there are going to be inbound, outbound, or routed with respect to the target number. Inbound being that the target number is receiving the phone call, outbound being that the target number is initiating the phone call. Next column is the start date. That's the start date and time of a particular phone call. And the time zone is with respect, for phone calls, the time zone is with respect to the cell phone tower that's fielding the phone call. So if I make or receive a phone call in Los Angeles, it's going to be in Pacific Standard Time.
Let me interrupt you there for a moment, Jeff. If I'm in another state and I'm making a phone call to Los Angeles, what information would be reflected on the phone records?
The phone records are going to reflect the time zone of this target number ending in 3747. Has nothing to do with the phone number that this target number is communicating with.
Please continue.
The end date, that's when a phone call terminates from our network, and same rule of thumb for the time zone.
And the time is reflected in minutes, seconds, and further to the 10th of a second?
Yes.
And the next column?
The next column is the duration. That's the amount of time spent on the network in seconds. Next column, repull number. What the repull number is, for the sake of these phone records, is a reference to a group of cell phone towers with respect to a certain area. There's a repull number for Kansas City. There's a repull number for Dallas. For bigger areas such as Los Angeles, there's multiple repull numbers, but they all reference a group of cell phone towers with respect to a certain area. Second to last and last column, we have the first cell. What that is the specific cell phone tower that the target number is using at the beginning of the phone call. And finally, the last cell, the specific cell phone tower that the target number is using at the end of the phone call, that the target number is using, not the phone number that the target number is communicating with.
So when you use the term target number, you're referring to this phone as it ends in digits 3747, correct?
Correct.
With regard to these business records, you're obviously familiar with the way that Sprint maintains these cell phone records?
Yes, I am.
And these records are kept in the regular course of business with their entries, such as the information that you have described for us just a few moments ago, is recorded near the time that the activities occur, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Strohm, who is the subscriber for Sprint Nextel number 702-809-3747, the subject of the phone records that we're discussing this morning?
The subscriber name was Conrad Murray.
Can you turn up the lights or do you need them down?
I'm going to need them again in a second down, Your Honor.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Strohm, before we move back to the records, the status of the count in June 25th of 2009 was active, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Strohm, prior to coming to court today, did you review a two-colored chart that I provided to you that had calls related to Sprint Nextel cell phone number ending in 3747 depicted in yellow?
Yes, I did.
And did you compare the information, time of call, call from number, call to number, and duration of the call of the information contained in this chart, highlighted in yellow, to the Sprint Nextel phone records that you brought with you and that we've been discussing today in court?
Yes, I compared the two.
And the phone calls that we're focusing on occurred on June 25th, 2009. Is that correct?
Correct.
And let's start first with the first phone call on the chart relative to the Sprint cell phone ending in 3747. That would be at 7:01 a.m. And it was a call from Dr. Murray's phone to another 702 number, and that call ended had a duration of 25 seconds, correct?
Correct.
Would you be able to just focus on the yellow areas that are relevant to your subscriber information and provide us with the information that's contained in the cell phone records, please, as reflected in this chart?
Sure. You want me to start with the 835 or the 701?
The 835, please.
Okay. At 8:35 a.m., phone number 702-809-3747 made a phone call to 925-786-6377. The duration was 0 seconds as it was a text message. 8:49 a.m., phone number 702-683-5217. Outbound phone call to 702-809-3747. The total duration being 53 seconds.
And this call, why is there an entry of 48 seconds and 53 seconds on the phone records?
This was one example of a routed phone call.
What does that mean?
Routed phone calls can be one of two things. For this particular example, it's when a TLDN is used, or temporary local directory number. Think of it as a bridge number. It's used to help complete a call when somebody is in an area where they otherwise cannot find service. An example would be, keeping in mind that my home repo is in Kansas City, if I were to receive a phone call from you, Miss Brazil, here in California, while I'm with my phone here in California, what would happen is Miss Brazil would make a connection to her cell phone tower, which in turn would try and find me in my home repo of Kansas City. But because I'm not there, because a tower there cannot find me, a bridge number, a TLDN, has to be used to track me down wherever I am. When that happens, on our Excel spreadsheet, there's two entries. There's the routed aspect of the phone call, and then there's the phone call between the two numbers. That is why you have two different durations that show up there.
So what is the actual connection time of the phones?
The total connection time would be reflected in the 53 seconds.
And moving to the next call, please.
Next highlighted entry at 10:20 a.m., we have phone number 713-857-0124, making a phone call to 702-809-3747, lasting 111 seconds. 10:34 a.m., phone number 702-809-3747, outbound phone call to 819-99...
619?
I'm sorry, yes. 619-994-3233, approximately 8.5 minutes. Next highlighted entry at 11:26 a.m., phone number 310-590-9566, outbound phone call to 702-809-3747, total connection time 7 seconds.
And the reason for the 6-second entry there, as well as reflected on the phone records, is the same previous explanation that you have provided regarding the actual connection of the phone, correct?
Correct. Another example of a routed phone call.
And the next entry for Sprint Nextel activity on this telephone on June 25th, 2009.
1:08 p.m., 702-809-3747, outbound phone call to 310-310-8070, approximately 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Strohm. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Brazil. Cross-examination, Mr. Gorgian, would you like the lights on or off?
Off, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Strohm.
Good morning.
Just have one question for you. The phone call at 11:26. Do you see that?
Yes.